And we're back. Hello. Welcome to Break, the Fallthrough After Show, where we talk about whatever. Something maybe a little bit related to what we were talking about on the episode. This is the after show for our episode about big data and AI. Although, it feels like half that episode was about other stuff. So, with that, and I'm joined by Steve Klabnik and Matthew Sanabria, as usual, the panel from the episode. So, what are our thoughts? What are we thinking? How are we feeling? Did we talk about big data enough? That's the real question.
Maybe.
No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like we got started slow and then it turned into something that was not slow. I think it was like a little bit of a struggle at the start and then it kind of got better as it went along.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I was also really tired. I woke up right before recording the episode because I went to bed a little late because I shouldn't have done that, but it's fine. But yeah, so it was a little struggle to get started. Plus,
I went to bed at 2 and woke up at 7:45, so I hear you.
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah, I'm not far off of those times. For my time zone, I don't know much about big data, so I couldn't add to that side of the conversation. You know, I'm not someone that's super familiar with that side, but I thought it was good. I mean, I like the angle on, our buzzwordy things and our, how we kind of have decisions that trickle down for these buzzwords. And big data was the new hotness at some point, but now it's not, but it's still relevant in some places. But it's not going to get you any VC funding, right? If you said you're going to start a big data company, you're probably not going to get any VC funding for it. So
yeah, I think the VC aspect of it is very interesting. So it feels like in my mind, I still have the partial but VC is good because it helps us build, find interesting new technology. But I'm I'm not really sure if VC is good as a whole. There's definitely good things. There's definitely companies where I'm just it's good that this company was able to get this funding, like Oxide or other similar companies where it's you're building something that is very very useful and very needed in the world. But I feel the enormous amount of other crap that gets produced that would not be able to be produced otherwise is just obnoxious. I'm just you're only surviving because you were able to convince VCs that they should give you money for this thing. And it's this product probably shouldn't exist. And also I think people, I don't know, maybe it's not just VCs, but it's just the startup culture where people that don't know how to build software are building a lot of software, and it's starting to cause lots of problems. That, what was that app T that had the major leak of lots of women's IDs and things like that? Is just that's a big yikes. That's a very big yikes.
Yeah.
And it's that was not willful, but that was just Firebase will yell at you if you have an open bucket like that, and you just left that bucket completely open for some person to find on the internet.
It's even more negligent than that because they promised they were deleting that data,
right?
And then they clearly did not. So
after verification, you were supposed to get that data removed, right? That was the promise. You take a photo with you take a photo holding up your license or something.
Yeah,
they verify you and then they delete it. That was the promise.
Yes,
which means nothing. Is there is that a legal ramification? Because didn't they state that in their policy that that's what they do with the data, and they didn't?
Really,
so that's illegal.
Depends on what they said in their privacy policy, which might not be what they said in their marketing material.
It also depends on, is there really some lawyer that thinks there's enough money out of this to form a class action lawsuit to go sue or not?
Right.
Even if it is possible, they're already is it dead, going to happen or not? Yeah, I'm assuming so. They should be.
Yeah. It's one of the problems of
T for women, right? That was the thing.
Yeah.
Tforwomen.com.
Yeah.
And it's this is a thing of being able to identify who someone is online is probably a good idea, but
no.
It's but we need reputable ways of governments
it is inherently privacy destroying.
Well,
it is not possible. to do so in a way that is like good.
Yes. But for some things, like, you want to be able to confirm who somebody is. And, like, I would much rather if, like, there was a service that could be used or an API that could be tapped into that'd be like, yes, this person is in fact this person. For, like, if you're applying for a loan, it'd be nice if you could actually, like, confirm online somehow. But I also see the negatives of, like, privacy is important on the internet. And you can't have these two things. But, like, I'd much rather have some reputable thing or something that has consequences for a leak like this than just, like, everybody kind of winging it on their own.
Every platform that has ever had a leak like this has never suffered true consequences, including, like, banks leaking millions of people's.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's like the Equifax.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
all that stuff. So it's just like those consequences don't meaningfully exist.
Right. But it's also. What, go ahead?
I was gonna say, is leak even the right word here? This wasn't a leak. This was, the bucket was open. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a leak implies that, oh, there was a, you know, damage.
Like a hack.
Yeah, like a hack. There was damage unbeknownst to me, leaking out data and whatnot. This was not that.
I mean, this was a leak.
Know.
It was
if you
not a
leave
hack.
your door unlocked, it's still breaking and entering.
That's
like,
true.
True. But like, this isn't even like. This is like there was that thing a couple of years ago where some state, I think it was some governmental website, had put a bunch of teachers' social security numbers in HTML that it was serving to the public, and it was just like display none.
Google for Visa numbers, and Google would be indexing the CSV files that, you know, e-commerce stores would be putting of their customers' information. So like,
yeah, so it's just like it's not a hack because you gave that information to people, but it is a leak because you were not supposed to be giving that information to people. Which, and like, part of this too is just like, I don't know, we should just be designing IDs better. Like, why aren't we using asymmetric cryptography for IDs and for ID verification? Like, this is a problem that we could easily solve. And then you could have, like, government websites you can go to check things. Like New York State, for instance, a lot of the, like, if you file some sort of business document, like, in the document that you get out that you can, like, send a PDF to somebody, there's, like, a number at the bottom of it. And if you go to New York State's website and you type that number in, it will produce that document, so you can confirm that this document has been photoshopped or something like that. Like, we have ways of, like, being able to confirm the authenticity of things with varying levels of security, and, like, we just don't want to do that. Like, we don't want to have ID numbers we don't want to have documents be as, like, cryptographically secure as, like, credit cards are with, you know, the new chip and, you know, tap to pay sort of stuff, or with even how, like, TLS works. We don't want to have that level of safety because, you know, God forbid America gets an actual national ID, even though we have them. They're called passports and social security cards and a whole bunch of other stuff. But, like, we can't have a real national ID in this country. That'd be terrible. But yeah,
I don't know. I agree with both of you about the identity verification stuff. Like, on one hand, it's nice to see that public figure whoever is actually public figure whoever, and then this post from them or this whatever from them is from them. But even with verification, who knows they wrote it? I mean, you know, we have aides and staff writing posts for high level figures anyway, right? So it's like, even if Steve who he says he is, who's to say that Matt didn't write that tweet for Steve or whatever?
but it's about layering, right?
No, yeah, totally. But then on the other hand, like, I get the privacy side where it's like, I should be able to be nobody on the internet safely.
Like,
yeah,
it's like one of these verification laws are like one of the biggest, like, threats to, like, queer people existing online. Like,
well, yeah.
Like, so that's, like, the problem, you know?
Yes. It's like using these ID laws for things like, I mean, using them for porn sites in general. I'm just like, y'all, like, this is not a good idea. Please, this is not going to end well for you, because it's like the states where they're passing this, it's like, do you know how many Republicans are gonna, that's like, what was it, Grindr, I think, once threatened to release all of the data of, like, Republicans who use the app, because they're just like, if you want to do this, we're just gonna, like, we're gonna call you out. but yeah, like there's like a large amount of threat to marginalized communities, especially queer communities, especially since conservatives are hell-bent on destroying queer people.
Yeah. In Texas, we're already a year into that state. So like in terms of like people are caring more about this now because like the UK is going particularly far, but like this has already been the case in many states, and like people don't seem to particularly care. There's not really that much movement against undoing it. So
yeah, once again, people are not going to care until it starts affecting them, and then they're going to be real upset about it, because that's what happens with everything, right? Like the current moment we're in is that people that haven't been used to having to live in the country that marginalized people live in are now experiencing what it's like to be a marginalized person in this country, and they don't like it. And it's like, okay, but are you going to fix that for all of us? Or are you just going to fix it for you and make it kind of go away? Like
everybody just got VPNs is like what happened.
Yeah. Which is like all the traffic's just going to be coming from somewhere else now, which is just because on the internet, you do still have some level of anonymity, but it's like, I don't know, like the problems we're all facing it's tough right now because it's all going to backfire. We're making dystopias for everybody in the name of like driving, like, I don't know, punishing some or hating on some marginalized people a whole bunch. On the other hand, I kind of understand what's happening because a lot of people are having identity crises because, once again, I brought up binary in the episode and I didn't bring up the obvious binary that people are having a big problem with right now. But it's like, yeah, when you see things as binary and there's no such thing as a binary nature, you're going to have some problems eventually. They're going to be a bit of an issue. And that's what stems a lot of this. They're like, queer people are destroying our sense of what men and women are, and we don't like that. So we're going to go after them.
Yeah, this is interesting. Again, the lay person has no idea what data is being collected about them, what's happening under the hood until it affects them. In any sense, in the tech sense, in the gender sense, or whatever. It doesn't even matter what sense we talk about. And I think that's going to remain a problem for a long time. Like the way my mother uses the internet versus me versus like, other people is vastly different. They don't understand that why you're seeing the ad for something you just spoke about. It's because your IP address was like fingerprinted against you researching that, and the ad money that goes into that. Oh yeah, now I can display that because I saw that you searched for this product and blah blah blah. And they don't even get that. They don't understand that. And then that's only just a small slice of the data that's being collected from people to put them into these different buckets. And like, speaking of the T-hack, speaking of the binary, so speaking of all this stuff, like what happens when our chats are leaked from AI like vendors, where my agent chats are leaked and my web-based, chats are leaked. What happens to that?
I mean, you can't even delete them anymore. Like the government can subpoena them now. So like,
well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I have a ton of Claude web chats, and I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, if you read my stuff, you're gonna find how bad of a person Matthew is. Like, no, I'm not saying anything other than tech shit in there. Honestly, I'm really just saying, like, hey, write me a thing in Rust to do this, or how does Kubernetes work? Like, that's all you're gonna find in my stuff.
But this is an active battle right now. Like,
it's
Sam
a battle.
Altman and talking about OpenAI, and they're like, we want to respect people's privacy, but also like the courts are saying we have to retain these logs because we know we need to be able to like see what people are doing whenever they blah blah blah. So
yeah, I'm worried about that because it's just another avenue that'll be weaponized against people, and I don't like that.
It's like the once again cognitive dissonance in people's minds, where it's like they like the system when what it's doing they perceive to be beneficial to them. They don't like the system when what it's doing they perceive to be not beneficial to them, or like, hostile toward them, even if the system's doing the exact same thing, which I think is like this is like the fundamental problem that we are like dealing with in current times. Is just like the system hasn't changed. Like, things have not changed that much, but the people who are affected, has changed, and that is what's at the core of this. And I think that's true of even in like the hype cycle of all of this, like all of these, all of these leaks happening, all of these bugs, all of the stuff happening. It's like, yeah, this stuff's been there the entire time and we had an opportunity to fix it. And everybody was like, why is this all so bad? It's like, none of you were complaining about things like speculative execution when it was benefiting all of us, when it was making our terrible, slow software run faster. Like, I didn't see anybody being like, man, we really need to stop and think and rewrite all of the software and come up with better programming languages and better paradigms so we can get hardware that doesn't have to do this stuff. People weren't saying that. People still aren't saying that, even though they need to. They're just like, well, no, Spectre and Meltdown just shouldn't have happened. Or the multiple other Spectres that have happened since, like, shouldn't have happened. And it's just like, you don't get to have it both ways, right? Like, this is the bargain you made with the devil, is that you didn't want to rewrite all of this software. You didn't want to have to come up with a new paradigm. So we just kind of made do with what we had until the train ran out of track. And now we're just kind of dealing with that situation. And people are unhappy. And it's like,
I'm at a point where I might even just leave some egregious shit in like different AI providers and see if it ever comes out in the future. Just put like a marker there. Just say so. Just leave some egregious chat that just like paints me as some horrible person. Leave it in there and then just wait and just be like, and at the very end, just be like, LOL, like just write LOL at the end of it or something, and just see if it ever comes out.
In Minecraft at the end of every single thing you type in.
Yeah. But again, I don't know. This is an interesting one, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that technology is the only one that has this problem, because when many years ago now, when I went to the emergency room in a hospital, they asked me to fill out a card for like, put your social security number here for insurance and this and that, and I'm like, I'm not filling this out on this card, and they're like, oh, why not? We needed to give you care. And I'm like, because I see Jim there right before me. You have a stack of these cards filled out, and I'm reading Jim's social security number right here in front of me. You clearly don't care about this data that you're asking people to fill out. You have it stacked on this desk with everybody who's in the ER able to come up and grab it anytime. Like, you don't care about data. And I'm not filling this out, So I don't have trust for a lot of these places. That's why I try to limit my business to certain companies and certain brands, not because I trust them more than others, but because I just don't want my data everywhere. I don't want to like continuously buy from new vendors and then have to worry about my data with them and my data with them and my account. And everyone needs an account nowadays. And it's very frustrating. And I feel like as a end user, you have like no visibility or control over this data. You have no idea what data is even out there about you. You're just forced to like trust that I'm in Claude Web right here. If I create a new chat and I delete it, how do I know that that's deleted? I take your word for it. How do I know you didn't soft delete it in a database somewhere and just put a flag on it and then the actual data is still living in your systems? How do I know you actually deleted the data? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
It kind of reminds me of how like one of my friends bought a condo a few years ago, and as part of this, they had to like provide all of this documentation and all these tax returns and all of this stuff. And they wanted, the condo people wanted them to email all of this data. And they were like, no. They're like, I will bring it to the meeting where you need to review it. You can review the documents, and then I will take the documents with me when I leave. Because there's no reason why you should retain these documents after you have reviewed them. The purpose is you need to review them, and I will make sure that you do not retain them, because that is a security risk to me. And I don't think enough people take that stance on all of this, because it's like, oh yeah, it's fine if I just email my tax returns to somebody. I'm like, don't do that. Please don't do that. So yeah, it's we have made things convenient at the cost of our own security and our own privacy. And that is going to come back and bite all of us. Or it already is, right? I mean, basically everybody's social security number has been leaked.
Someone posted, speaking of the T leak thing they were talking about, someone posted the women's locations.
Someone made a whole map.
They made a map
of where all the women are.
Yep. It's like the very app designed to help women feel safe with dating, right? I was reading their website. Help find sex offenders, help, verify this, verify. You just put the women on the map, literally, right? Like they are now on a map, and you can see all these women who, and you now know something about these women. Generally, you know that they are trying to date, number one, and you know they're trying to date safely. So you know they're like cautious against this sort of like, you know, bad dating experiences. And now they're everywhere on the map and you can just see them. And does that not target them? I mean, I just think
it also is like, and this is the way data is pernicious, is like, not everybody in there is actually trying to date. It's someone who at some point was trying to date. Because like I found out about this app like a month ago because my girlfriend used it before we got together. And like, you know, and she still reads stuff, but like, you know, she's not currently dating anybody but me.
So
and
I
so
guess,
like, it's not the same as like
test.
actively looking. Yeah, exactly. Apparently I don't got a profile on there. Cool. I'm not a terrible person. But also that's another thing though, is that like, this is ultimately an app for gossiping about people. And so like, you know, some people act in bad faith. And so, you know, I'm definitely not going to say that I think that it's like, I've been trying to be very like non-judgmental about it because I do think it's important for people to be able to talk to people about stuff. But like, there's a weird scale at which, you know, this grew out of like all those Facebook groups that do the same thing. And like, there's a whole pile here. But anyway, beyond the like small caveats of like how some of that stuff lies, you were absolutely correct that like ultimately this is like a list of women who are trying to be safe now being put on a literal map. Also, I believe I saw a Hot or Not clone go by. And you never like underestimate the ability of men to be shitty towards women, essentially.
Yep.
So
100%.
you know, like you are taking a group of people that is you know, yeah, I don't know exactly where I want to go there, but just like you were taking people who are in some ways vulnerable and or marginalized and then just like literally putting a target on their backs because of your negligence. So
you know, I always go back to that Audre Lorde quote about you cannot tear down the master's house using the master's tools. And it's like, yeah, this is another outcropping of it where it's like, because I exist outside all of this. I'm kind of just like observing all of these things happening. And I'm just like, there is a lot of stuff we need to deal with in society that we just have not been dealing with. And we're just like, well, we can build apps like this that'll help women be like a little bit safer. And I'm like, but the apps were the problem in the first place. So like building another app to try and solve the problem with the apps is probably not going to work out how we all think it's going to work out. And in this case, it very much didn't. And even if they had done things right, this app is obviously a target for the nefarious actors that they're trying to go after, right? Like the men who are going to wind up on these apps are like people that are probably going to be incentivized to figure out if they're on these apps and trying to find their way into these apps by whatever means necessary. So it's like you're building a very large target, which is like,
yes,
get away. Is that worth the thing? And now I think that's
also, that is not speculation, that is fact, because the timeline of what happened here is this app has existed for a while and nobody cared until there was a gushing news article about how it was the #1 app in the App Store in whatever category it was. And then that made it be aware to like a much broader segment of people, including many men who had never heard about this or never realized this existed. And then 4chan went and deliberately tried to break in and then managed to break in and then built the thing. So like that is the sequence of events that occurred. And it was like 36 hours basically from like attention to like getting hacked. Like, cause I was like, because my girlfriend used the app, I was like telling her like, oh, hey, guess what? Everybody found out about that app, you know, that like, cause when she shared this with me, she's like, oh God, breaking girl code, don't tell anybody. And I guess I'm telling people, but you know, obviously I'm aware that these tools existed regardless of whatever else. Right. Like they've existed in many forms for a very long time, but like, you know, I was like, well, everybody knows this app exists now. And then it was like the next morning, it was like, oh, by the way, pretty sure all your data's out there now. So I don't even tell what you do about it. Just it is the case. But it was like a 36-hour turnaround from like people finding out about it to like, yeah, let's actively try to break in and then succeeding in doing it. So.
Yeah, no, that's the problem. You got to keep things quiet if you want it to. Underground things need to be kept underground, and as soon as they're not underground, then it's But it's weird because I'm happy. I'm like glad that things like this exist because of the current context we're in. But I'm also like, and this is true of like VCs and all those other stuff we talk about. It's like we have to keep moving forward, right? This is a band-aid on a broader problem, and we need to fix that underlying broader problem. But again, right, like. The master's tools cannot dismantle the master's house. And that's a very difficult thing for people to internalize of like, we won't be able to get ourselves out of this startup centric mindset by like making more startups or by doing something else that is very startup like, right? We won't build more secure apps by like getting another framework that'll do it. It's like, no, like part of the reason why all these things are so insecure is because people don't understand how this stuff works. They go build something because they can build something, and we praise people for building these apps super quickly and like, yeah, look at all of these great tools we have so you can build an app and you can get it out into the world. And it's like, that was great for a while, but now there's all of these other concerns that come with that, especially when you're building something that like this that is going to be a target if people actually find out about it, right? If a certain group of people finds out about it, it will be a major target, and that needs to be considered at the forefront, which means that you got to have a very brilliant team of people, especially security people, to lock that down and have lots and lots and lots of layers of security to make sure that you are protecting the people that are using this. And like, that clearly did not happen here in the least bit. And it's like, well, how do we fix that problem? And it's like, not by coming out with more frameworks that are like more secure frameworks. Like, no, like the people building apps have to know what they're doing. Like, that's the solution to this problem, which is the antithesis of what so much of our technology industry is doing. Of like, oh yes, just go, here's a new framework, here's a new thing, here's what you got to use, blah 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 blah. Especially with AI now, like, oh, you can just have AI build the app for you. It's like AI is just going to reinforce all of the other stuff that we've done that is not good. You have to actually go out and you have to learn, and you have to understand, and that's the opposite of what AI is going to do for you, because AI is going to incentivize you to cheat, and cheating is not going to work.
New Jersey had a thing about that. I mean, other places have this too, but in New Jersey, if you have a provisional license, which means like you're usually underage, usually is what it means. You're a new licensee for driving. You have to put like a red sticker on the top left corner of your license plate or top right corner of your license plate. I don't remember where it goes. And that is to signal that you are a provisional driver to people. And because provisional drivers cannot drive between the hours of like, what is it, midnight and 5 a.m. or something like that, or whatever it was. So it was just a way to show like, oh, you know, if a cop sees a person with this car out around with this sticker on the license plate, you know, this between these hours, they should probably think about that and see what's going on. As a way to prevent, like, you know, kids from driving around late at night and causing mayhem, I guess. But what does it do in practice? One, it targets people, because now the odds of that car belonging to, or, you know, the odds of the driver of that car being an underage person are pretty high. So now if I want to target kids, I could target those cars. And two, what kid really has their own car? You know, they're usually sharing their parents' car or something for the most part. And now if I'm the dad, you know, of a child that has this on their car, you know, it's on my car too. So if I'm driving validly, you still have a reason to like kind of check me out and pull me over or something. So just think about what that's doing to people. You're targeting people on both sides, even the people you're trying to protect. And you're right. You have to think about all this on the outset.
Not to mention people counterfeiting and then sticking red things on people's cars just for the fun of it. Like,
just for the fun. Yeah, I know. And it's like, what has this now done? You know, you've now made a silly law that's targeting people. Now there's some sort of crappy business that spawns up that actually produces these stupid stickers that you have to put on your car. So there's a cost to producing that and supplying them. And it's just, it's silly. Right? It's silly at the end of the day. And you've created a problem in an industry that you didn't need to create in the name of protecting someone who's not being protected by this thing. And then that law is never going to get, you know, repealed or whatever, because it's going to take so long to, like, you know, appeal it.
Why do you want to endanger children by repealing this law?
You're going to get that. Like, oh, do you hate children? This protects children. This doesn't protect children. It targets them. It marks them. It does nothing. But yeah, it's frustrating out there.
I mean, it goes back to kind of what we're saying in the episode, where it's just like people don't know how things work, so they try and do things to fix. I guess I didn't say this in the episode, but I think that part of the problem is like people trying to fix problems when they don't understand how things work, and that makes more problems. That's like when people talk about loopholes in the law, and I'm like, loopholes aren't a thing. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
When you say loophole, you just mean something that what was written is not how it's interpreted, or where what you meant isn't what got written. Like that's it. That's not a loophole. That's just like all we can do is interpret the text we have. So you read the text and you interpret it in a way, and then you have to argue for why that's a valid interpretation of that thing. And if you think about it in the terms of loopholes, you're just going to lead yourself down a very like perilous path, because there is no way to eliminate the loopholes. Like when people talk about wealthy people, like taking advantage of the loopholes in the tax law, it's like, that's not loopholes. That's just reading. They have read the law. They've interpreted it. They found a way that they can get what they want out of the law. And so they do that. And that's how it works with all laws. That's how it works with all writing. That's how the system works. It's not a bug of the system. It is a feature of the system. And like, people don't like that. And I'm like, what you don't like is that you can't specify what it is that you want with enough precision, probably because what you want doesn't make any sense, and you don't want to rationalize. You don't want to reckon with that. You want to be mad at the system instead of being angry at your lack of understanding of something, and then go and get a deeper understanding of that thing, which I feel like is one of the roots of so many of these problems.
Yeah, there's
this...
so much here. I'm sorry. This break episode was brought to you by pain and suffering. No,
like, man, I was talking about startups, and then we got into tea, and then just went. So,
classic.
No, I'm glad we chatted about it. I mean, we should probably call it here anyway. But
yeah,
I'm glad we chatted about these things, because it's true. I just, maybe it encourages people that are listening to think about the problems in their industry and like solve them correctly. Because I don't know. One quick little tangent is, there are so many people that have prioritized speed over actual, quality, to the point where it's like, yeah, I created this new Kubernetes thing, or I created this new thing, and look at it. And it's like, you just have a bunch of abandoned projects in your wake. That's all you're doing. You're lying to yourself that you're solving a problem. You're spinning up the bare minimum thing to solve this problem. No documentation, no nothing, and you're acting as if you solved like a major problem, and you're moving on to the next thing, and now that thing dies. It's like, that's not helping anybody. And then we're celebrating this though in the industry. It's like, oh, look how fast I was able to create these things with AI, blah blah blah. It's like, but you didn't. You're okay. You know what? I'm leaving. Yeah. So just it's okay to speed up. You should speed up, but don't let the quality suffer so much either. You have to kind of balance these things.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, thank you, Matt and Steve, for joining this episode of Break.
Anytime.
The after show. And what did you think about that conversation, viewer / listener? Do you have comments? You have thoughts? Please just let us know on the socials. Steve is chronically online on Blue Sky, so if you add him, he'll probably respond.
You could also do what someone did for me on a different podcast recently, which is DM me about how I'm wrong and terrible, and then block me immediately after sending it. That's also a very cool way to interact with others on the internet.
Jeez.
Oh, that's still a thing. People still do that. Let me put my opinion and stick it to you, and then put up the door. Oh my god! Someone did that to me on LinkedIn. They're like, "Your reply guy." I was like, "No, dude, I'm just having fun at this point. Like, I don't care what you say."
Goodness. Well,
anyway.
Let us know on social media how you feel it, or in the YouTube comments. There's comments down there. Yeah. With that, bye.
Bye.
Sorry, I'm dying. I'm just envisioning someone saying, like, fuck all three of you, like, on social media. And just immediately blocking all of us.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Sorry, that's so funny.
Okay, I gotta do it after. Hold on for a sec. Jeez. Okay.
I'm muting.
Oh my god. Stop that. So, viewer, how'd you like that episode of Break? Did you like it? Do you think it was good? Do you think our conversation was good? It kind of went all over the place, but that's just how things work when we have Steve on the podcast. We're just gonna go wherever we go, So yeah, let us know on social media or in the comments, and we'll catch you next time. This episode of Break featured Kris Brandow, Matthew Sanabria, and Steve Klapnick. Break is a Fallthrough Media production and is produced by Kris Brandow, and our beats are by Breakmaster Silver.